today's thrift store challenge video, we will be diving into Zara Home. If you're new to this series, basically we're going to dive into the Zara Home website, head over to the thrift store, and see what we can come up with for a whole lot less. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Kicking off this video talking about ceramics, if you have very organic luxury style, you will definitely enjoy some of the pieces from Zara Home because they definitely have that kind of old world luxurious feel to them. But you can definitely find starting pieces for your projects at the thrift store. So for example, I found this large scale vase that ended up being just under $10. And while I would love to take the time to learn how to make real pottery, I think a quick shortcut right now is going to be what I'm going to show you in this project. So I found this vase, and one thing that you'll see of a lot in Zara Home pottery is they have this kind of banding around this kind of center point. So I took my suede ribbon and I just tied two pieces around just to create that band in that middle section of the vase there. Taking about a half cup of acrylic brown paint as well as some pre-mixed mortar mix. You can usually find this at the hardware store. I had this on hand already from when we redid our fireplace, so I'm just mixing about a cup of that mortar mix and half a cup of the acrylic paint together, and I'm just going to apply one generous coat around this entire vase. To apply the paint and mortar mix, I just used a chip brush that I also picked up from the thrift store, and then I let that to dry. After that had dried, I then went in with a little bit of mud mixed with water and just the slightest amount of white paint, just to kind of give it this opaqueness that I was really looking for. Again, taking another paintbrush, I'm just going to apply that watered down mud and white paint mix over the entire vase. Once that mix had then dried, it was then just time to fill it. So I remember I had found these florals at my thrift store for just $1, and they were really tall in scale, so I decided they would be perfect for a vase like this one for my kitchen island. Vases like this can cost you over $100 at places like Zara Home and Pottery Barn, and I was able to create something like this with things that I had on hand for just about the $12 price point. A material that Zara Home uses that I think is somewhat exclusive to their website, especially in comparison to a lot of other high-end home decor stores, is they do incorporate a lot of silver and chrome and aluminum in their decor style, in which that can usually pull really cool toned, but for some reason I do feel like they still pull it off and make it feel really cozy and warm. So when it comes to mixing metals or incorporating a different metal into your current home decor style, I think the trick is to definitely go to the thrift store first to see what you can find and infuse a little bit of that in your space to see how you really feel about it without breaking the bank. This table was just $5. If I don't love it, I'm sure I can sell it on Facebook Marketplace for more than that. In my last Thrifted Dupes video, we kind of covered the McGee & Co. or Studio McGee decor style and how you can dupe it at the thrift store for much less, and we tackled some bigger furniture pieces. But it's definitely important to not underestimate those small scale furniture pieces that can really add a lot of visual interest to your space. So for example, I found this magazine holder for just $2. It could definitely benefit from a couple more coats of some black spray paint and just cleaning it up a little bit. But I think a piece like this for just a couple bucks can really make a major impact in your space, but you definitely do not need to break the bank in order to do so. So I just took it out to my backyard, laid it on some cardboard, added a few coats of some satin black spray paint by Krylon, let that dry, and then I sealed it with a matte clear sealer. After that dried, I just set it next to this armchair I have in my living room space, and I think it's just the perfect additional small scale piece of furniture to add that visual interest and also some practicality, and it just completes that kind of vignette in my living room space. When I was perusing through Zara Home's website, I came across these leather trays, and Pottery Barn has a kind of similar option to these leather trays as well. They're even more expensive than the Zara Home ones, but in both places they are a small fortune. So when I went to the thrift store, I came across these, and I actually sat on these for quite a while because I didn't know how I was going to kind of disguise that personalization that just obviously those initials don't mean anything to me. So I don't necessarily want them on the piece anymore, but I was trying to figure out how I could kind of cover them and have it all kind of make sense. So I initially just tried to spray paint over the letters just to see if it helped at all, and it did not. So I then decided, okay, I'm gonna need to place something inside of here to just cover it. So I thought about contact paper, but that wasn't the option I was really looking for. So then I just grabbed a cork sheet from the Dollar Tree and I cut it down to the appropriate size. But although the Zara Home ones had this kind of like high contrast situation, I did just want it to feel all really monochromatic. So I ended up just spray painting that cork sheet. Once the spray painted cork sheet dried, I just basically took the backing off and just applied it. I didn't add any additional adhesive because it's basically like a big sticker. And I think I'm able to kind of achieve this kind of a leather basket catch-all tray on a budget. Next up, let's talk about some stoneware planter options that Zara Home has to offer. They have a lot of that kind of rustic luxury feel that is so on trend right now. However, because there are no Zara Homes in the United States, I do recommend checking out your thrift store to see what you can come up with. So for example, I found this planter that was just under $6 from the Goodwill, and then I also found this faux potted fern for just over a couple bucks. So I decided to go in my floral stash. I just added some ferns to this planter just to give it a little bit more fullness, and that really wrapped up this project. I think that sometimes pieces like this from high-end stores, when you calculate shipping and all of the things, because we don't have any Zara Homes in the United States that I'm aware of. So it's nice to just kind of go to the thrift store, pay a little bit less to get a similar look on a budget. And even if you don't necessarily find a faux potted fern, you can kind of make your own arrangements. So I loved these ceramic bowls. I think these look great. They could stand by themselves, or you could add something to them. So when I came across this planter, I loved all of the texture and the shape. This could stand alone on a built-in, or it could be filled with some florals. So I found these eucalyptus at the Dollar Tree, and I was not crazy about the coloring on them. I think that they just look really fake. So we are going to just do a quick little spray paint technique to make them look more realistic. To get this eucalyptus to have a much more natural appearance, I basically just mixed these 3 spray paints together that I will link down below for you guys in the description box, until I felt that it almost looked like some dried eucalyptus. So as you can see, the ones on the left, super vibrant, really fake looking. The ones on the right just seem a little bit more realistic. Added some styrofoam to the inside of this pot, and I'm just going to fill it with some Spanish moss for now until I can come up with something I like a little bit better. But I think that this gives me that kind of high-end organic luxury look on a budget. If you are somebody who loves a Zara Home aesthetic, or whatever aesthetic you're looking for, my best advice is to go to that website and just build like your dream card. See what you're naturally gravitated towards and see what kind of pops up in their decor all the time, because that's likely things you are going to love. And then go to the thrift store and then see if you can find things that are similar. So although this is more of shelf styling decor, I think I'm still able to achieve a kind of Zara Home aesthetic, but so much more budget friendly than anything I would find on the Zara Home website. But let's also not forget about those really practical pieces that you can find at your thrift stores like Stemware. So wine glasses at Zara Home can range up into $15 for one wine glass, which can add up over time. If you have to buy a set of 6 of those, that will be quite expensive. So I do like always just going to the thrift store, seeing what I can find. So for example, I found this set of 6 in perfect condition. It has a little bit of that extra fluting, extra detail, and these were originally just $6, and then I got 35% off of that, bringing them down to only under $4. So I think that that's a really good price point. That's even better than dollar store, and these look so chic on my built-ins. Moving right along now into some textiles. So again, I've said this before in other videos and I'll say it again. I'm not saying that these prices aren't worth that. I'm just saying that I cannot afford to spend $200 on one single blanket. So I think it's a nice option to go to the thrift store to see what you can find first. So I found this Southern Living throw blanket that looked so similar to something I had seen on the ZARA Home website. It was brand new with tags, and I actually don't have a place for it. So if there's any one of you who this really speaks to you and it fits in with your color palette really well, I will gladly send this off to you. You guys know I do this in every Thrifted Dupes video. So just leave a comment saying interested in blanket, like love the blanket, something like that, so I know that you're interested when I sift through the comments. Another area of home decor that can get really expensive really quickly are curtains. And that's just because a lot of times you have to buy multitudes of those same curtains, and sometimes it's up to like 8 or 10 curtain panels that you need, and it can get really expensive. So I do like to go to the thrift store, especially if it's just for like one little small window. I think this is a nice option. I found these brand new IKEA curtains for just $6, and then they were 35% off because it was the 4th of July, and I just popped them on one single window, and they're not the fullest curtains in the world, but I think they do the job. They give this nice and airy vibe to my space without breaking the bank. On a more serious note, some of you might know that last week I suffered a major loss, that my father unexpectedly passed away, and I'm just going through the grieving process. And I just want to share this with you guys now, just in case I'm not able to kind of keep up with my normal posting schedule at this exact moment because I'm just grieving. My hope and my goal is to see you all back here next week. Bye for now.